Deep Threat Sports Network fans, hey, welcome back. We have another great episode for you guys here. Part two of our ACC win totals. This is going to be a real interesting episode. You have Nolan, Bryant, and myself this week. Hey, Dave's out here taking care of family things again, but looking forward to this episode. This is our favorite time of year, kind of talking about these things, getting out ahead of the ball game, getting while the getting's good, and we are firm believers in that. So tonight for you, if you followed the last episode, like I said, we just have the remaining teams from the ACC, and we are going to include Notre Dame in this. We talked about that last week a little bit, how we're going to have them lumped in with the ACC. And I guess my first order of business here is before we get too far into anything, one thing that's been kind of on my mind when I went through this ACC, win totals for these teams that we have left. Nolan, Bryant, would you guys say the ACC is a better conference than the Big 12? That is like one burning question that I have that I want to hear your guys' input on this a little bit. Not something we talked about, kind of something I wanted to bring up though. What do you guys think?
I think the floor is lower in this conference as far as the Big 12. I think there's some teams that are just not very good. Um, Compared to the Big 12, I think the worst teams in the Big 12 are probably better than this conference, but I think there's better teams on the top in this conference than there is in the Big 12. I think there's three or four or five teams that are going to be very competitive all year, and I think you're not going to see that as much out west in the Big 12.
I agree. I'll even call it six teams, top six teams in the ACC, I think would just destroy the Big 12 top six. But you look at the bottom six of the Big 12 and the bottom six of the ACC, you're getting some competitive games. And I think bottom of the ACC barrel is looking pretty rough, and you're getting down by a couple touchdowns more than likely.
The only reason I asked this question too is I totally agree with you guys. The top is much better in the ACC, especially if you kind of sprinkle Notre Dame into that part of the equation. But the reason I asked this question is because all the playoff talk out there in college football, they kind of have the ACC and Big 12 lumped together as like whatever the one conference gets, the other conference gets. So I kind of feel as if the ACC is better. And at times, I feel like they should have more of a right to get an extra team over the Big 12 when it comes to the playoffs. Not going to dive too deep into that. Just kind of something I wanted to see what you guys thought, if you guys kind of aligned with me on that. Because I'll be honest, fellas, I think some of these top teams in the ACC are pretty salty. And some of those teams we're going to talk about tonight. And I could see some of these teams making a real run. And Clemson, I'm just going to throw it out there. We kind of talked about this in our group chat a little bit. And I think Nolan and I aligned on this. Clemson's a team to really watch out for. And if I was making a preseason list right now, they'd definitely be in my top four, top five. So really interested to see what you guys have tonight on tap. So Nolan, Bryant, do you guys have anything that you want to add to this, or any questions you guys got for us before we kick things off here?
I saw an interesting question on Twitter this week. If you're a college football fan, you likely follow Bud Elliott. He's on the Cover 3 podcast and does a lot of my Florida State stuff. But he had a tweet this week asking if you could know one player's stat line for the entire year, who would it be and why?
Bryant, you can go ahead with this one if you're ready.
So we talked about this a little bit before the show, and I think Nolan and I both agreed. I think we'd want to know what Cade Klubnik's stats are, the quarterback at Clemson. I think he's a big X factor as far as quarterback play across the country. I think he has a chance to be one of the better ones at that position. I think he'd be very intriguing to see what his stats are. And I think that'd be very telling on how good of a season Clemson would have based on that.
I mean, another year with Cade Klubnik at the helm, and this receiving core is only getting better for him. I would be really surprised if he didn't have outstanding. I'd be really surprised if he wasn't truly in Heisman conversation towards the end of the season. Like, I mean, I think it's like Heisman podium for him or bust. Honestly, like that's kind of where I put Cade Klubnik. Do you guys agree with that, or am I giving him too much credit?
I think he's got to be. If Clemson is going to do what everybody projects them to be a true title contender, Cade Klubnik has to be in the Heisman conversation. If he's not, I don't know what's going on. I guess it's just their defense that carries them that far, but you have to score at some point. And I think Cade Klubnik is going to be the big reason why. I truly believe if he has a good year, I've always believed in him, even after his down couple weeks, down year, but I think he's going to be a top 10 pick into this year.
Hey, I could totally see that. I guess while we're talking about maybe projected top 10 picks and maybe Heisman hopefuls and title contender hopefuls, I guess I'll bring Drew Aller into this conversation. This is a guy for me that going into last season, Bryant knows this. He was there every week doing our episodes with us last year. I was all in on Drew Aller. I was all in on Penn State last year. I was all in on the Andy Kotelnicki ad for offensive coordinator for him. This is the year for Drew Aller where he has to go. Like they have extreme potential. They have a ton of noise around them, and they're like their fans are kind of thinking title or bust the way it sounds for them as well. So I would be intrigued to know Drew Aller's stat line because if it's not good and Penn State's not good, I think it truly falls on him. And I think, not to really bring Mizzou into this conversation, but then you lose Bo Prabula, who was the backup, looked to be a very good backup and a reliable candidate to take over that job. He kind of hops shit, comes to Mizzou. So if it's bad and this team thinks they're supposed to be really good, they really don't have a direction to turn just yet. So it's all on Drew Aller, and Drew Aller has to go.
I absolutely agree with you, but we'll see. He's got a lot of pressure on this season. I feel like he has more pressure on him than maybe Cade Klubnik, who we just talked about, does, I think. And he lost one of his best weapons in Tyler Warren to the NFL. So we'll see exactly what he can do. I think they're going to run the ball, so maybe it's not going to be as intriguing if he plays really good. It's as important, excuse me, if he plays really well. So we'll see. I think that's an intriguing question. I would love to know his stats right now.
Well, anybody that watches and follows college football too knows how it ended for him last season. You throw a terrible interception when you get the ball back on a chance to go beat Notre Dame to go to the national championship, and you have a terrible, probably your worst pass of the season. All you have to do is take care of the ball right there. So, kind of, how does he bounce back from that? It also, too, I guess why I'm so intrigued with him this season. So, I'm really fired up to see what Drew Aller and Penn State do. But Nolan, since you asked the question, I mean, do you have a guy that you're staring at for this? Like, I feel like you're ready to go with a name on load.
Yeah, the first two that pop in your head, I feel like everybody thinks of these two. I want to see what Arch Manning and Julian Sayin have, but at the same time, is it really going to matter? Arch Manning is on a loaded Texas team. Julian Sayin is on a loaded Ohio State team. They both have arguably the one or two best receiver to throw to. Your number one job should just be throw to those guys. So I'm not sure I really care what those guys' stats are going to be. I would almost, and I don't think they've announced anybody yet, but the Alabama starting quarterback, I want to see an Alabama starting quarterback stat line. Who's it going to be, first of all? Second, what's going to happen with it? I just, it's their biggest question mark for Alabama, and they're a team that makes the playoff almost every year.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll get in them deeper. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Ty Simpson, but
That's what I've been seeing. That's what I've been hearing.
that dude's as unproven as you can get at the quarterback position, and especially at Alabama. So that would be
Well,
another person to be intrigued about where they land if they do start.
I mean, kind of all three of those guys that you just talked about a little bit there, Nolan. Julian Sayin, Arch Manning, Ty
Yeah,
Simpson. All three of those guys unproven. I would say Arch Manning, I guess, is the most proven because he got a little PT last year, right? But I mean, I'm really intrigued by that too because, like you said, those guys are all at the helm of teams that are just loaded around. All you have to do if you're those three is just not screw up. I mean, that I know it sounds
Yep.
cliche, but all you legitimately have to do is just take care of the football. Throw a 7-yard slant to any of these guys that you have, and you're loaded. Throw it up. I mean, your guy Jeremiah Smith's down there somewhere. Ryan Williams is
yeah,
down there somewhere. Like all you have to do is not screw up. And Ryan Wingo for Texas, I think, is probably just as talented as anybody. And I think
and
you're really
Singleton.
going to see him explode this year. So that just don't screw up.
Yeah, you just got to be a game manager and be good at it. And I think you're right into the playoff.
The
Yeah.
other one I think would be interesting for the SEC race. Give me a DJ Lagway stat line. That guy has not thrown all summer, apparently, with a shoulder injury. That's not a good sign. I want my quarterback throwing all year long. I don't want him to have shoulder injuries. I would love to
Mhm.
see what his stat line is through the year. He's talked like he's the next big thing.
Especially when that guy's a gunslinger too. So like I'm with you. Like has all the talent in the world to make every throw on the field. but just needs to sharpen his knife a little bit with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he needs to perfect the craft a little bit more, get a little more accuracy. So I'm with you. Not throwing all off season, and that's because he had a shoulder procedure, if I remember correctly. So that's why he's not doing it. So I understand. But with all the hype around him in Florida coming into this season, yeah, that's another great one. While we're right there, Lenore Sellers, another guy that's in very big Heisman hopeful conversations and had an explosive the last third of the season last year. Same as DJ Lagway, absolute cannon, can make all the throws, can do all the things. Just got to perfect the craft a little bit, get a little bit better at reading a defense. Those are all great options that we just threw out there. I love this question. So, is there anybody other than a quarterback that we could put in this conversation, other than the Jeremiah Smith, the Ryan Williams, like anybody other than that? Because I have one, and it goes right along with Cade Klubnik, and it'd be the receiver Bryant Wesco for Clemson that was a freshman last year, an absolute animal. I think he was very underrated, and I'm intrigued to see how he pairs up with Klubnik. So I'd love to see that stat line. Do you guys have anybody in mind?
I'd really like to see. I want to give out two real quick. I think Nick Singleton is the one I'd like to see where how much run he gets, even though they have Katron Allen still. I think he's going to be the bell cow. I think I'd like to see what his stats would be, and then sticking in that position, I think Jeremiah Love would be really intriguing to see what how much run he has in that offense too. In my opinion, one of the better running backs in the country. So if he pops off for like 1,200, 1,300 yards and a bunch of touchdowns, you know Notre Dame is going to have a good season if he does that.
Here's an interesting one for you. Give me the missed or incorrect coaching calls from the big man in Miami.
Mm.
That that's going
Before
to
you even
determine.
said the name, like before you even said the school, I was already laughing because I knew where it was going.
That's
That's
going to
gonna happen.
determine what are they going to do this year.
That's gonna happen. And while you're talking about that, give me the Marcus Freeman stat line. Like if we lose to Northern Illinois this year, it's your only loss. I know they don't play them, but same guy, same thing. I mean, just
Yep.
one of those happen a year. Real quick, Bryant, circling back to Jeremiah Love, I don't think it's crazy at all to say that you could see a Jeremiah Love stat line within striking distance of what we saw last year from Ashton Genty. Like I know that sounds crazy, but they're gonna lean on Jeremiah Love as much as Boise State leaned on Ashton Genty last year. I know those are crazy things that come out of my mouth, especially anybody that follows our show knows I have a man crush on Genty. But Jeremiah Love's very similar. Very similar running the football. He runs through your face. He's not, I mean, he does all the things. So I love Jeremiah Love, I think he's great. So that's my hot take while we're talking about those stat lines.
I feel you. Should we dive into the SMU and all the other teams we need to talk about in the ACC?
Yeah, that was a great. I could go on for we could have had a whole episode
We
about just
got
that question.
absolutely.
All right, well let's center our focus back around why we are here in this episode today. No one loved the question. Make sure you bring another banger like that next week. Uh, moving on, the first team that we're going to talk about for part two of our ACC win totals is SMU. The over under sitting at 8.5 right now. The over is plus 100. Under is minus 120. This is a team last year that was the first year into the ACC, had an absolute electric season, definitely exceeded all expectations. Maybe not for themselves, maybe they thought they could do those things, but definitely exceeded everybody else's expectations. Rhett Lashley, a great coach, and Brashard Smith did go to the draft this season, so you kind of lose your go-to guy on the offense side of the ball at running back. Kevin Jennings in there at quarterback had a really ugly playoff game against Penn State. Everybody that watched that game remembers that. The guy just had happy feet, was very nervous. The environment got to him. I think if one thing goes different on their very first drive of the game, on the if anybody remembers this, the tight end's out wide to the right. He throws it, hits him in the chest. The guy drops it on a fourth down. Would have been a touchdown. I think if he catches that, that whole ball game goes differently. But we saw Kevin Jennings spiral completely out of control in that football game after that. Let's not forget they get RJ Maryland back this year, their stud tight end, probably going to be their best player on offense. So, fellas, how are we feeling about SMU? You guys over? You guys under? What are we thinking?
I got them right over at nine wins here. I don't think they lose a game at home, or excuse me, I think they lose one at home and two on the road. I only had them losing to Baylor at home, and that was kind of a pot shot. I think Baylor's going to be a pretty good team in the Big 12. But I do think they beat Miami and Louisville. I just have a lot of respect for SMU and Coach Lashley and what he's done, returning a lot of guys. Like you mentioned, I know they lost Rashard Smith, but majority of these players that did the run that they went on last year are still playing for this team. So I think that's huge. They also brought in a pretty good backup in case Kevin Jennings gets hurt and Tyler Van Dyke. So that's a good thing good thing as well to have that kind of experience in the quarterback room. As far as on the road, they got some tough games. Clemson, TCU. I have them losing both of those. The toughest game I think on their away schedule is Missouri State. Just kidding. Why are they playing Missouri State on the road? That makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, I think SMU is going to be a great team. They were heavy in the portal, and they had one of the top ranked portal classes as well. So I got the over on SMU.
I tell you what, I got the over as well. But you mentioned that Missouri State game away. We're talking about going to a game. Let's just
There
go
we
to the
go.
SMU Missouri State game. It's like 4 hours away. That's a day trip.
It's
Just
not a
go
bad
watch
idea.
SMU put up 70 and then go
Oh,
home.
you might be the only people there.
Uh,
If the
hey,
tickets are like $20, I'm in. But
Well, I bet they're less than that.
if we're the only people there, maybe we can get the tortas on.
hey, we'll get the tortas on field. We might have an on-field interview. Like we might be the
Yeah.
only press in the building. I'm with you guys. I am over 8.5 as well. Coming into this, before I even looked at their schedule, I told myself there's going to be a lot of regression. I felt on this team just because of how good and spectacular they were last season. And I do think Rashard Smith is a massive loss for them because he was a do-it-all guy. I do really like Kevin Jennings. I think, what happened to him in that Penn State game, it can't get any worse, right? So, like, I think at that point you tell yourself, okay, I've had the absolute worst I could have on the biggest stage I could ever have. So at this point, I have nothing to lose and really build on what he showed in the second half of that season that everybody's forgetting about. So, looking at the schedule, yes, it's hard to go under 8.5. I have them in a loss against Baylor as well, Bryant. I'm with you on that. I do think Baylor is probably a better football team. I also have them losing to Miami, but those are both coin flip games for me. Obviously, a surefire loss against Clemson. I have them in two coin flip games that I gave them the nod on and against Louisville and TCU. And then obviously the rest speaks for itself with the surefire wins in East Texas A&M, Missouri State, Stanford, BC, and Cal. I don't think any of those teams are a game for them. I think they handle Syracuse, handle Wake Forest. So I do lean the over, kind of in a small margin, because I could see a TCU loss. I could see a Louisville loss, and I could see them check in at 7-5, 8-4. But I think they're in that 7 to 9 win range is kind of where I have them marked up at. And more times than not, I give them 9 than 8 or 7.
The same coin flip games, the Miami, TCU, Louisville game. I just don't know if you're going to go 0-3 in those games. So I got the over on them. And then speaking of regression, they returned 3 of 5 offensive linemen, starters last year. They get their tight end back. They return the whole secondary. So if you're
Mhm.
going to tell me you get your offensive line back, you get your whole secondary back, I don't know how much regression we're really in for with some of the leaders directing traffic, making sure all the protections are right on offense, making sure everybody's in the right spots from the secondary, kind of directing people. It might be better than some people are giving them credit for because I've heard a lot of regression talk on them.
Hey,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
know they.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Ryan.
Colin. I know they got blown out in that playoff game, but that's still quality experience that these players got in a meaningful game. It's only going to help the guys that are still here this season coming forward and playing better in the pressure packed moments.
Absolutely. It was a major moment for these players. Like it was obviously the biggest crowd they'd probably ever played in front of in their entire life. I think SMU Stadium holds like less than 45,000 people. So you go play at Penn State where it's jam house packed with 100,000 people. I mean, I'm sure it was an absolute shock for all of these guys. So you've played in the biggest environments. I don't hate that take at all. No one at all. And my regression point wasn't really from the player's standpoint. It was more so just it's hard to do better than what you did last season. Like it's just hard. I mean, so I like SMU though. I love Rhett Lashley, and I was hell. I was on SMU against Penn State in that playoff game last year. So I really like what they bring back to the table. I love all the things you said, and with that being said, that's why I think all three of us are on the over. I mean, I think they could check in very easily at 9-3. So
It's plus money right now, so maybe we should hit
hey, that's why we're doing this early. Get it while the getting's good,
it.
baby. Get it before the weekend warriors come out and just sling some bets when they cross state lines to move the odds for us.
We're probably gonna move the line.
Well, I'm sure we will. I don't know why we wouldn't. Is there anything else on SMU before we move on to a powerhouse in Stanford?
I'm good.
Okay. Moving on to second year ACC powerhouse Stanford. Fellas, this is a ball club that I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot. I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about them, so I'm not going to say much. Uh, might be the smartest ball club in all of college football, but other than that, not a lot good going on. The portal class was no good. The roster's really not that great. They were 3-9 last season. You got Frank Reich in as interim head coach. If anybody remembers him, I'm pretty sure he used to coach at the Indianapolis Colts. This is just not a great ball club, and they have a ton of traveling to do on this schedule. So I'd be surprised if either one of you blew my mind there and took an over on this 3.5. I mean, it's currently sitting at, let me pull this up, make sure I get this right. Over under at 3.5. Over is -105, and the under is -115. Kind of coin flippy the way it sounds. What are you guys kind of seeing on this?
Not
I
a
got
lot
the
that
under.
needs to be said. They're under. They
Yeah.
were bottom 10% in every defensive category last year. Interim head coach. The ACC took them for the academics, not for the football.
No, Nolan just took the notes that I have. I have them under at 2. I have bad defense in question mark and in all caps, and I have Frank Reich, interim head coach. That's it. I did dive a little bit into like to see if I could maybe find a golden nugget somewhere. They do
You
have a
can't.
relatively decent quarterback in Elijah Brown, who is, he's not going to blow the top off. He's not going to go start at an SEC school after this season, transfer somewhere. But he's not horrible. But you need more than just a quarterback. So I don't see many wins on this schedule. You mentioned the heavy travel. They got to go to Miami. They got to go to UNC,
Hawaii.
Virginia, Hawaii. Uh, it's just insane. So yeah, I don't. 2 wins is what I got them at.
Dude, and
Here's
I'm
your
going to be
golden nugget, Bryant. It's
But
Andrew Luck being the GM.
yeah, that's probably true.
I don't think he has any eligibility left though. So
No, but if there's a guy going to turn it around, I would rather have an NFL quarterback leading as a GM, smart dude.
yeah,
Maybe he can figure something out. I don't know. Not this year, maybe in the future.
Elijah Brown's not bad, Brian. You're right. I mean, you kind of alluded to this, but when your offensive line's not good, your receivers are not good. Like
Their
I just your defense is not good. So you're back
their
on the
defense
field.
is bad, man. Like
Yeah. So
they
like
they were
you're
top 5 and worst third down percentage on defense. Sorry to cut you off.
no, I mean, but when Hawaii's gonna hang 40 on you, like you gotta find a silver lining in your offense. Like I have them. I don't even have them on one sure win. Not even one. I do like sure wins, should win, coin flip, and losses. And I legit have them down for 2 coin flip wins, and that's Hawaii and San Jose State. And I could see a
Yeah.
world where Hawaii beats them and where San Jose State beats them. They do not beat BYU. They do not beat Boston College, Virginia, SMU, Florida State, Miami, Pitt, UNC, Cal, Notre Dame. No shot. No
Mm-mm.
shot. I mean, unless they catch a team sleepwalking into to play them at Stanford, like maybe a Cal, maybe a Boston College early on before they kind of get things right. But I'm going to give Bill O'Brien the nod against them every single time. Uh, not a whole lot. I think all 3 of us are on the under. Let's move on from this powerhouse. All right, so -105 on the under. That's crazy, dude. Or -115 on the under. That's crazy. It's not more than that. I'm gonna hit that. Moving on to Syracuse. We have Syracuse sitting at over under 5.5. The over is +130. The under is -155. Fran Brown in second year as the head coach. Really good season last year. I think they exceeded expectations, but a lot of that came from Kyle McCord. He proved that he was truly not the problem at Ohio State. I know Ohio State won a national championship. If Kyle McCord was leading that team last year at Ohio State, they would have been even better than what they were with Will Howard, in my opinion. I think Kyle McCord is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the 2024 college football season. You lose what was the receiver's name that they lost in the transfer portal? Trebor Pena, is that his name?
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, that's your best receiver. He walks out in the portal as well. Ricky Collins transfers in from LSU at the quarterback position. Not a whole lot of playing time for him so far. So a lot of question marks. Fran Brown was in the media a lot talking about how he's not going to give this player that, give this player this. I respect that. Not the best approach to take whenever you are coaching at Syracuse. No shot at Syracuse here, but you may have to pay a little bit more to get guys to come to Syracuse. So, fellas, what are we feeling on the over/under 5.5 for Syracuse and Fran Brown on this year 2 experience for him?
I think there's a reason the under's at minus 155. I got them under at 3 wins. This road and neutral schedule is, absolutely horrible. I mean, they got to play at Clemson, SMU, Georgia Tech, Miami, Notre Dame, and Tennessee on a neutral site. I don't have them winning a single one of those games. That's just brutal as it gets, in my opinion. At home, UConn and Colgate, I think they win those, but I only have them winning those 2 games. So big turnover, like you mentioned. It's going to be hard for them to come back from that with all the guys that have left that we talked about. So I don't see a whole lot of promise here in Syracuse. So I only got them at 2 wins.
Yeah, I don't know who they pissed off in the ACC because to try and draw Clemson, SMU, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Notre Dame in the same season, all of them away,
Yeah, that's insane.
they did something to the ACC commissioner. I don't know what,
They
but they did
knocked Miami
something.
out. They
Yeah.
knocked Miami out last year. Pissed a lot of people off, man.
Old Mario got on the phone and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I got the perfect idea."
I mean, this is a all bullshit aside. This is a punch in the mouth for year 2 with Fran Brown and Syracuse. Like, you showed a lot of signs of improvement and hope and height last season, all for it to crash and burn in this season. Like, I'm with you, Brian. I have them at 3 wins. I have them at 2 sure wins against UConn and Colgate, and I have them as a should win against Boston College, and that's because it's at home. I think that game's at home, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why I gave them the nod on that game. I have them as a coin flip against Pitt. That's a home game for Syracuse as well. But I mean, I'm being generous. I'm being real generous at a 3.5 ish prediction for me. Nolan, I'm assuming you're on the under 2, right? I mean, this is hard to find 6 wins.
I am on the under. I don't think there's any way that they can get to the 6-win mark.
I mean, they got to win out at home, and I don't see that happening
I
because they ain't winning on the road.
No, and for me, I keep all. I'm sure you guys do too, but I keep it all fluid. We're like, I'm really high on Duke, so I have Duke punching them in the mouth. So I'm not. There's no chance they beat Duke at home. This is just, yeah. Good luck. Good luck. And Ricky Collins, like, I've watched a little bit of film on him. Good, not great, but not a lot of talent around him.
No.
I
I
just,
feel more comfortable he was still at LSU, and Nuss was gone and he was coming up. You know what I mean?
yes,
At least he's got some guys to throw to.
Yep.
yes, yeah. I mean, this is really tough for an ACC schedule. This is about as tough as you can get, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
They might have the toughest ACC schedule you can get. So let's move on to Pitt. Maybe we can find some hope. Maybe we can find some positivity in this Pitt conversation. The Pitt over/under is sitting at 6.5. The over is at plus 140, and the under is at minus 170. Pat Narduzzi, still the head coach there. Longtime head coach. He's a great coach, gets a lot out of his players. He maximizes effort, potential. Really like what Pat Narduzzi brings to the table. I do feel like in this modern day college football with the transfer portal and the new style plays and offenses, I think he might be losing it a little bit. I do still think he's a pretty consistent coach. Eli Holstein showed a lot of signs of life last year. Great quarterback, pretty damn good. Had a 7-5 season last season. And from what I understand and what I read and what I look at, I'm pretty sure they have 10 of 11 defensive players back. That's big time. That's big time stuff. If you can return that much productivity, especially on the defensive side of the ball in this ACC conference. Nolan, Bryant, stick to the game plan. You guys take it away. What are we seeing?
I actually think that there's a chance. It's not a good chance, but I think there's a chance you can get to the over. I know you guys were both high on Georgia Tech. I was not as high on Georgia Tech. I think it comes down to how do you feel about Georgia Tech? How do you feel about Syracuse? That's the two that I think if you're going to get to the over, you got to get those games. Because they're really not a terrible team. I wouldn't call them so far as to say good, but they got a returning quarterback. They actually picked up 3 defensive linemen, all DNs, and picked up 2 offensive linemen, one of them being a tackle in the portal. It's a pretty good portal haul for Pitt. I mean, most people are looking for DNs, most people are looking for tackles, right? The other thing is they have 5 of their last 7 on the road,
That's tough.
including 2 Stanford. I think that's kind of rough. The long travel in the middle to Stanford is gonna be a rough one. How do they go play at Stanford? How do they play the next week? It's hinging on a couple things, but I'd
Do
almost lean the over.
do they have a bye after that Stanford game though?
Ooh,
Yes.
do they? Because
I
that
think
would be
they
pretty big.
I think they go Stanford by Notre Dame at
Notre Dame.
home. Not that
Yep.
that makes it any better because you play Notre Dame at home, but you at least have a week to try to get back on the right sleeping schedule. So I mean, I'm I don't hate what you're saying. I have them at 3 sure wins: DeCoin, Central Michigan, Stanford. I have them at 2 coin flip wins and Boston College and Syracuse. And after that, for me, I have them surefire losses across the rest of the way. So I'm coming in at 5-7. That's with losses at West Virginia, Louisville, Florida State, NC State, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami. I think, to your point, Nolan, that last 3 game stretch is pretty rough. In Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Miami, that's ugly. That's really, really ugly. I guess if I needed to get them to the over and get them 2 more games, it would have to come from West Virginia and North NC State. I don't see it happening for either. I would see North Carolina State more likely than West Virginia for me personally. That would still put them at 6-6. So for me myself, I am comfortably on the under 6.5 here.
I got them right at 6 wins. Colin, I gave them West Virginia, and now that I look at that, I'm less confident. Rich Rodriguez is coming into West Virginia. I think he's going to have a pretty good season.
And that's a
Um,
road game, dude. West Virginia's a tough place to play.
yeah,
Seriously.
coming back to the Mountaineers where he was a coach about a decade ago. This is the hardest one to pick for me, and I think in this show's docket for the teams we're talking about. Nolan went the over, you went a little lower than me, and I'm right in the middle. I think you're correct on Eli Holstein. I think he can be a good quarterback. They didn't lose a whole lot on the offensive side of the ball. They did lose quite a bit on defense, though. I know their freshman All-American linebacker is now at Mizzou. So that's going to be tough. Desmond Reed's a good running back, though, so their offense may be able to step up and kind of take over a little bit. But I did do a little bit of digging on Pitt just to try to see if I can get a little more insight on them. Last year they were tied or led in the fourth quarter in all 6 of their losses. They went 2-4 in those games. So if they can turn that around, just maybe 1 or 2 games, there's your over, I think, right there. So if and they struggle late in the season as well. So that could go 2 ways. It could go, as Nolan just talked, into being hard to play those away games on the road, or they can turn it around and be a better team later on the season. So they have some things to fix, I think, from last year. But this team, I think, could be pretty variable in where they finish.
Well, and I would say Holstein's, to give him more credit, I would say he's probably a top 5 quarterback in the ACC. I would say he's right around that 4, 5, 6 range, depending on how you feel about some of these guys, depending on how you feel about like a Kyron Drones, depending on how you feel about Louisville's transfer quarterback. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. What'd you say, Bryant?
Miller
Miller
Moss.
Moss.
Yeah, Miller Moss. Like it depends on how you feel about those guys. So when it comes to the coin flippy games, I tend to look at the quarterback position and the defense. 6-6 is probably right. I feel like that's probably right. This line's probably honestly right where it needs to be. And you saw all of us spray it right there. One game over, right on it, and 1 game under. So feel pretty comfortable about where we are on that one. Anything else on Pitt? Let's
I'm
move
good.
on to a team that everybody wants to hear us talk about in the ACC, Clemson. The over-under is sitting at 9.5. The over is -120. The under is +100. This is a team we could go on for hours about everything they have to offer. Dabo Swinney, he doubled down on the portal. Looked like a genius, actually. He got ripped apart on this show. I still feel for the right reasons, because if you're doing this good with what you have from being homegrown, I can't imagine what Clemson could do if they're beating down the transfer portal and hauling in some of the biggest name players. 10-3 last season. They really got clicking in the second half. They're returning like 20 players to this team. Talked about Bryant Wesco earlier, the true freshman receiver last year was an absolute stud. Pair him with Antonio Williams, and Cade Klubnik has plenty of options to throw the ball to. Great offensive line. TJ Parker, Peter Wood, Sammy Browns, Avian Terrell, AJ Terrell's brother, that's in the NFL as a cornerback. This could be the best defense in the country. All those names I just talked about on the defensive side of the ball are names that we have talked about in one of our earlier episodes this summer on players to watch list. Fellas, this could arguably be the best team in the country right now coming into the season. Is that crazy to say?
It's
I don't
not
think it's
crazy. Not too crazy. Want to hear something crazier?
Yes.
I got the under.
Okay.
wow.
All right,
Who you
Brian.
got
think
him
that-
losing to?
Brian, you go first.
I think they lose to LSU at home first game of the year. That might be stupid.
Okay. Let's make this interesting then. Let's go game by game, because everybody wants to hear about Clemson anyway.
Okay.
It sounds to me like Nolan and I are definitely aligned on the over on this, and you're on the under. So let's go game by game. You have them
All right.
losing to LSU first game of the season at
Yeah.
home. That's a home game
I
for
think
Clemson, right?
yes, that's at home for Clemson.
Yep.
That's a Death Valley battle right there. That game's
Yes,
perfect.
it is. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. I just think LSU needs the win.
Okay.
I know everybody's looking at the Ohio State Texas game to start the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be the game of the week.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the game that if you gave me the choice, if they're on at the same time on a different channel, I'll choose this game rather than the Ohio State Texas game.
I think the line last I looked for just this game was sitting at like Clemson like -3.5.
Sounds about
Give about 2 points for home field there. Probably it's pretty coin flippy, and I have it as a
Mhm.
coin flip win for Clemson. Actually, I think being that place is going to be absolutely bananas. I got to go with Clemson.
LSU can play in that environment.
I Yes, they can. I'm not. I like LSU.
I
I'm an
mean,
SEC guy.
This is a coin flip loss. A coin flip loss for me too. So I mean, I'm not talking LSU's going to go beat the brakes off them.
No, I get that. I think I gave it to Clemson because I think LSU has some question marks on that offensive line a little bit right
Mhm.
out of the gate for what they lost. And the one team you don't want question marks on your offensive line is against Clemson. They are going to be all up in Nussmeier's ass, and I think Nussmeier will be the first pick in the draft. If I'm being honest, so Clemson is the real deal. So game by game, Nolan, did you give it to LSU or Clemson?
Oh, I gave it to Clemson.
Okay, moving on to Troy. We need to talk about that one. Surefire dub. Georgia Tech, Bryant. I mean,
I
Nolan.
got Georgia Tech. I got Georgia Tech in that game.
Okay.
I
All
got
right.
Clemson. I got Clemson starting 1-2. I picked Clemson or Georgia Tech in our last show to beat
Okay. That's
or
fair.
Georgia Tech to beat Clemson in our last show. I don't know how I really feel about that anymore, but gotta trust my boy Haynes King. That's a home game for Georgia Tech too. I think it's their first home game or second, maybe. Definitely the first one against a competent opponent. So they got a lot of good players too, like we talked about last week. So I picked Georgia Tech in that game.
And first away game for Clemson.
Yes.
And Haynes King plays bigger in big games. There's a world where Georgia Tech could get it done. I don't hate that. But so moving on to Syracuse, I have them as a surefire dub.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
UNC dub,
Yep.
Boston College dub,
Yep.
Yep.
SMU, Duke, Florida State. Anybody got them losing any of those games?
No.
I think the
Nope.
Duke game could be a closer game than most people think. I think that could be a game where Clemson sleeps a little bit, but I think they still get it done. But I did have that one as a coin flip, actually. Florida State dub, Louisville dub, Furman, get them off the schedule. I guess this is where it comes down to Bryant having the under for Clemson. You have them losing to South Carolina. I as well have this being their only loss on the season right here.
I think South Carolina's defense can go, right up there with Clemson, in my opinion. And I think they compete with them on the offensive side of the ball as well. So
Yeah.
South Carolina's due to win this game. I think they've lost a bunch in a row. So I got them. I got them in that game too.
This could
South
be
Carolina.
this could be like one of those games that South Carolina needs to get into the playoffs. So like if they are on the projected path where I have them going, this is a game that South Carolina needs, and I think they're going to need it more than Clemson at this point. So I think that South Carolina gets it done. That game is at South Carolina. Good luck, tough place to play as well. Nolan, do you have Clemson going undefeated, or do you have them dropping the South Carolina game?
Have them going undefeated.
Okay,
Hmm.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at
No, I
all.
don't either. I mean, they could easily win 12 games. I'm not saying the 9. I think 9 is, the basement floor. But somebody's got to shake it up a little bit.
No, hey, that's what we're here for. If it were me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna go tease this line to go get it at an exact 11 wins, an exact 11-1 record in the regular season is what I would go do for me personally for Clemson because they lose against LSU or South Carolina one. They don't lose both, and they don't lose another game on that schedule. I don't think so. I would love to take the exact outcome of 11-1 record for Clemson. I think they have all the pieces, and I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm not a Dabo Sweeney fan. They're just that damn good.
And I mean, they're due. I mean, we haven't seen the Clemson of that we known, when we were in high school and college. Um, and you had Deshaun Watson and Hunter Renfro and all those guys out there winning national championships or playing in that game. So I think they're due for that type of season, and they definitely have the guys to do it for sure on both sides of the ball.
I mean, they had a run on quarterbacks like Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson. People forget about Taj Boyd. That dude was electric at Clemson.
Say that the two times they won the national championship, they had the best quarterback in all of football. Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Can Cade Klubnik do it? If he's the best quarterback in football, that's when Clemson wins, it seems like.
And
Yep.
you pair with both of those teams that you're talking about that went on and won it. Also, multiple guys drafted off that defensive line, and this is a team that's probably got two guys going in the first round off that D line next year. So I just don't see how anybody on this schedule truly blocks them for a whole entire football game. I don't know if it can happen. This is as good as it gets, man. Barring health, I mean, people aren't even talking about Sammy Brown. That could be the best linebacker in the country. I mean, they're too damn good, man. And this really isn't that bad of a schedule. If you erase LSU and South Carolina, it's not
It's a
that bad.
cakewalk.
It's not
No.
that bad.
See,
Sorry, Nolan. I know you don't like. I know you're not high on Florida State this year, but I mean, that's a splattering. I mean, this is just
I think that's I think that's where it comes into the true national title contender. They get the benefit of playing in the ACC. I don't think the ACC is going to be great this year. You heard me say it last show. Can you rest a couple players here and there if somebody's got a little bit of something going on? Do we really need you to name most teams on the schedule? No. Well,
yeah.
just rest a week, go rehab it, and be back for next week, especially towards the end of the season. I mean, yeah, you got South Carolina you're going to have to be up for, sure. But there's a couple games there that you don't really need your A game. You can probably play a C game and still come out 2, 3 touchdowns ahead.
Mm-hmm.
They could play B minus football on this whole entire schedule except two games and win them without a doubt. I You're gonna hear the Dabo antics and press conferences. He's gonna talk about how the SMU, Duke, Florida State, Louisville, that stretch of 4 games. He's gonna talk about how it's tough and how I win all these games. I'm a surefire playoff team. I get it. Those are, SMU did make the playoffs last year. Duke had 9 wins. Florida State's got the name. Louisville's been on the up and up. They've played great. I mean, yes, I'm with him, but those teams, position for position, do not match up in any way, shape, or form across the board at all against Clemson. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
one that wants Dabo to save it and not talk about that shit and just go take care of business. And I think they do. When we do an episode later before the season starts and we talk about, our national championship teams, it's going to be really hard to not have Clemson in that conversation for me.
Absolutely.
I love it, Brian. I love the 9-3 like that. That I didn't see it coming. I'll be honest with you.
I got the
I
0
love
3
the
coin flip.
SEC. I love the SEC love for LSU and South
Oh,
Carolina too. I love it.
you know how I am.
I love it, man.
Hey,
That's good stuff.
complaining about the
SEC's
schedule sounds like an SEC thing. I don't know if you guys been hearing all the college football talk. That's all I hear is the SEC complaining about their terrible schedule every week.
I mean, it is. You're playing the boys every week.
It is a
Yeah,
gauntlet.
And we
It is
played
a
9
gauntlet.
conference games.
we'll see. You know, they're not playing 9 unless they get their automatic bids. And apparently, the coaches don't even want to play 9 conference games.
I
They told the commissioner absolutely not. We're not doing this.
I I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to
No.
either unless I was like in the
Give me
ACC or
Furman.
Big 12. Yeah. Well, I
Exactly.
mean, let's be honest. Some of these SEC teams do still schedule a Furman. Like what was it a couple of years? Was it last year, the year before? I think Bama played like the Citadel.
Yeah.
Like what do you if you're Citadel's coach? What do you tell your team? Hey, we just want to get all 22 starters back on the bus. Nobody at the hospital. Let's take the check. Get back on the bus. Everybody just nobody break a
Yeah.
neck today.
We're
Sorry,
not
go
App State. We ain't winning this game.
no.
Uh,
That's
Also,
the shit I hate.
along those same lines, shout out to the teams that schedule rough ones. Clemson
Oh,
scheduling LSU,
yeah.
Texas scheduling Ohio State. Those are the games we want to see. I understand it hurts you to take a loss in the playoff contention talk, but give the people what they want. Let's play some good games.
hmm
I mean, losing that game obviously hurts you, but I I would rather see a team that like has 3 losses against really tough opponents than a team that schedules a cakewalk and gets in with 11 wins. Like I mean that's I don't dock teams a ton for that, especially first game of the season. And I don't think the committee holds first game against them too much. They kind of have a lot of recency bias when it comes to the playoffs. I feel like so. I love it. I'm with you, Nolan. Get this bullshit off the schedules and let's make it tough. Credit to the team too that put those teams on your schedule. Credit to Citadel who put the team like Bama on their schedule. I mean, credit to them. Takes a lot of balls to go out there and get beat up. I sure as hell wouldn't want to do it. I'd have a hammy injury that game.
hmm
Anything else on Clemson?
Nope.
I'm good.
Okay, moving on to Virginia. Over under sitting at 6.5. The over plus 110, under minus 130. I know a lot of people don't like Virginia, don't see what they have to offer very much. They were 5-7 last season. Tony Elliott's still there. They did have Chandler Morris transfer in at quarterback. He's made quite a few stops. I think his most recent one was at North Texas. 3 for 3,700 yards, 31 touchdowns. This is a guy with some talent, some true arm talent. Pretty good at reading a defense. Has got a lot of PT, which playing time, I should say. And I think it is only a benefit for Virginia. Should definitely be a step up in the quarterback position in the quarterback room for Virginia. And hey, they did have a top 25 portal class. I think if this team limits some turnovers, I think you could see a lot of improvement for this Virginia football team. Not necessarily in the record department, but just as a team, as an opponent, a team that you play on your schedule that you're just no longer overlooking. You know you have to go in and play probably B plus, A minus football and go get a win against Virginia. So Bryant, Nolan, are you guys either one of you on the over? I should ask for Virginia.
I got the over on them.
Ooh.
They uh they have probably the easiest schedule out of everybody in the ACC. I don't know if you guys took a look at this. We go from the hardest schedule in Syracuse 2 teams ago to probably the easiest schedule. I mean, you read them off. Coastal Carolina, William and Mary, Stanford, Florida State, Washington State, Wake Forest, NC State, Louisville, UNC, Cal, Duke, Virginia Tech. Anybody scared of any of those teams?
Florida State, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Hey,
agree with you.
if
I,
Castellanos looks okay, then maybe.
I don't have the over. I have them at 6 wins. I only think they lose one game at home to Florida State, but I only have them picking up one road win at Cal. I think I'm a little higher in a lot of these teams they play on the road. The North Carolina teams, Louisville, Duke, and Virginia Tech. I don't think that's a cakewalk of an away schedule, but it's definitely much easier than the likes of Syracuse and some other teams in this conference. They could
Yeah.
surprise though. Colin mentioned Chandler Morris. He was a very good quarterback at North Texas. And when he was at TCU, he was good too, but he got stuck behind Max Duggan when they made that run to the championship game. So he could definitely put up some numbers. And Colin mentioned the portal class that will help. I think they could be a surprise over here for sure. I can agree with you, Nolan, on that. Definitely, but pretty easy schedule. But I still have them only winning 6 games, just because I favored more teams on the road that they're playing on the road.
Speaking of Chandler Morris at TCU, if I recall, wasn't he the starter over Duggan to begin that season?
Yes,
I mean, these guys, people have seen a lot in Chandler Morris, and I think this is a really good get for Virginia and Tony Elliott. Like, this is a really, really good upgrade for them at the quarterback position. What was the name of the quarterback last year? Calandria? Was that him?
that sounds right. I don't remember off the top of my head.
If I remember, he was like the
We shit
turnover
on him.
king.
We shit on him a couple times. I know
Yeah, I
that.
think he threw like 4 interceptions a week, I think, if I remember correctly. This is a really good upgrade for Virginia. I do have them coming in at 6-6. Surefire win at William and Mary. It's the only surefire one that I have them getting. I do think it's looking more like a surefire win against Stanford than it is just a win. So obviously I gave them that one. Coastal Carolina a win. Cal, Wake Forest, win-win for me. I do have it as a coin flip game against Washington State, but I think Washington State has a lot of turnover. You lose a coach, lose a quarterback. I give them the coin flip win against Washington State, even though I believe that is okay. That is a home game. So I have them coming in at 6-6. I have them losing against NC State in the coin flip game, and then Florida State, Louisville, UNC, Duke, Virginia Tech. For me, all surefire losses. So that for me puts them at 6-6. Can't get them to 7. I can't really get them to 5 either. I mean, I am very stuck on that 6-6 record for Virginia.
Yeah, this is a good line for them. It's tough to pick which way to go. You can kind of see it either way, but I think the ceiling's 7 and the floor's 5.
Yeah, they're going to be with 100% certainty right in that range, barring injury. Anything else on Virginia?
Mm-mm.
Moving on to their counterpart in Virginia Tech, the over/under for them is at 6.5. Over plus 105, under minus 125. I was way high on Virginia Tech last year. Ended up being way wrong. I think that they came in way under expectations. I think they underachieved in just about every category you could. I think that puts Brent Pry on the hot seat this season. I think he needs to show vast signs of improvement. 6-6 is not going to cut it like they were last year. Kyron Jones is way too damn good to have a 6-6 football team behind him. They need to take the leash off of him and let him get after it a little bit. He also needs to take care of the football a little bit more. You got some transfer receivers coming in, a pair of those that are pretty damn good. This is a really good environment, one of the toughest places to play, honestly, in college football. Need that defense to show some signs of life this season, and I think Virginia Tech could be a improved record standpoint football team from last season.
I got them at 7 wins, so slightly over. And it's actually you must need to be from Virginia to have this type of schedules because they have a pretty favorable schedule too, in my opinion. Give them a loss in South Carolina to open the season. We all know how we feel about South Carolina. We'll talk about them at a later show. But they have a pretty favorable schedule outside of that. I think they have some surefire wins at home. Old Dominion, Wolford, Wake Forest, and Cal. I gave them the Vandy game. I think I'm going to be more down on Vandy than I think they overperformed last season. And then I have them actually winning a coin flip game against Florida State on the road. So I think I can go the other direction very easily. But I got them sliding in at 7 wins. They're returning a lot of guys on defense, and they were top 25 in the majority of defensive categories last year as far as pass rush, QB percentage, and et cetera, et cetera. So, returning that type of defense and a solid quarterback in Kyron Jones, I think they have a chance to be a pretty good football team. And you mentioned playing there in Virginia Tech and Sandstorm. That's a tough place to play.
I can't. I can't get them to the 7. They got a new offensive coordinator. I understand Kyron Jones is good, but the best ability is availability, and he was hurt entirely too much last year. So it's sort of like my Haynes King take on Georgia Tech. You were hurt a lot last year. I can't really count on you to be on the field and carry your team again. And also, they just lost arguably the best player on their offense, Bashal Tutin. He is now, word on the street is he's maybe going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars starting running back sooner rather than later. If you're really that good that you can step in first year, be a running back in the NFL, and then you lost him, and then 4 of your 8 offensive transfers are running backs trying to replace him, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in your offense there. I don't think you're going to
Hey,
score a lot. You
Kyron
might
Drone's
not.
gonna run it. Kyron Drone's gonna run it, Nolan.
Not if he's on the sidelines getting
Yeah,
rehab from the trainer.
he's soft. You're right. He is soft. He needs to be a little bit tougher. I'm with you. I like that.
I can't get him to the over. I got him on the under.
I'm with Bryant. I'm 7-5. I'm 7-5 because yet again I'm gonna fall into this Brent Pride bullshit where I lean into how good they should be, how good Kyron Jones should be. Hell, I had them borderline playoff team last season. Actually, I think I had them winning the ACC going into last season. And Kyron Jones being soft and Brent Pride not being that good of a damn coach, honestly, is why they didn't get there. But I have them losing to South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, and a coin flip loss to Florida State. That's 5. That puts me at 7-5. I think if they get to their potential, they could win a Georgia Tech, a Louisville, a Florida State game. I think they could. I think they have no shot in the South Carolina Miami game. The other teams on this schedule, they shouldn't really have any trouble with, but it is Virginia Tech. So they might, but they should not. And if they could just edge out 2 of those 4 I mentioned a second ago, then we're talking 9-3. I mean, I think their ceiling is probably 9-3, and I think their floor is probably 5-7. And
That's a
I
big
think
swing.
yeah, that is. I mean, that's because you just don't know what you're going to get from the Virginia Tech team. Like I think anything less than 7-5, and I think Brent Price probably not the coach next season.
Oh, I agree with you. I just think they're going to lean a lot more on their defense. I don't think they're going to score as many points as they had to last year, or depend on Kyron Jones as much as they had to last year. And they were a pretty competitive team too. And the returning, besides Tootin and a lot of the backfield issues they're going to have, they're returning a decent amount of these guys, and they got 2 of those transfer wide receivers. This team beat Miami last year. We all know
Yep.
that.
I mean,
So,
they went toe to toe with one of the better teams in the country. Like,
so if they can play up to that potential, they got a chance. I think 7 wins is their ceiling.
I think
you
a high
think
school football team could have scored on Miami last year, though.
Yeah.
hmm, you think 7's their ceiling, Bryant?
I think I have them at their ceiling, personally.
Yeah, I mean, and most people are probably going to agree with you on that.
Mhm.
I just think I just still think 7-5 is a fireable season for Brent Pry. Like I think he knows that. So I don't know.
Put up or shut up.
Yeah, I mean I have him at 7-5 as well, but I mean I think it's just I don't know. I think they have to be better than that. Have to be
Hmm.
better than that. Anything else on Virginia Tech? Anything else on Kyron Jones? Kyron Jones, to Nolan's point, stay on the field, and this team could be better than 7 wins. Moving on to Wake Forest, another team that just doesn't seem to have a whole lot going for him right now. Over under sitting at 4.5. Over is actually the favorite in this at -135, and the under is at +115. Got a new head coach in Jake Dickert. He comes in from Washington State. You're 4-8 last season. You have 7 starters as transfers, and your transfer portal class really wasn't ranked all that good. So if you have 7 starters as transfers and they're not ranked that high, that's not that good. Robbie Ashford comes in as probably going to be your quarterback. That's not that good. And he's been a massive letdown. This is a comfortable under 4.5 for me, but I'm going to let you guys take it away. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, this line shocked me. It being +115 on the under. I got them at 3 wins. Just a bad coach with a new quarterback and a bunch of transfers. A bad team with a new quarterback,
I
bunch
was
of
going to say,
transfers, and a
damn,
new
that's a little
coach.
harsh on Dickert in the first season there,
Sorry.
Brian.
Bad team
Damn.
with a new coach and a new quarterback. I only think they win Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, and Delaware. I think they lose the rest.
Those are layups. I hope they don't screw one of them up.
I think they lose the rest.
I did give them a coin flip to Oregon State, by the way, but after that, nothing. Not a chance in any of them for me.
I had a coin flip in the Oregon State game, and it just came down to travel for me. They got to go out there to play.
Hmm.
Tough to fly across the country and play a game. But I have them on the under as well. I am not as interested, I should say, in the under over as I am. Are they going to do the slow mesh this year? Or is that Dave Clawson's thing? Is their
I,
offense going to not be the confusing slow mesh that actually helps them score points against teams that are better than them?
I think that was more Clausen's thing, but they shouldn't stray too far. They should take the air out of the football in every single game. Or it's going to be a splattering every single week. I I don't understand how this is minus 135 to the over. I looked at this like 10 times. What am I missing? I'm looking at the schedule
I
again
don't
right
know.
now, trying to find it again right now. And I don't see how you could give them anything past three for sure wins. Like I can't. There's no way they beat NC State, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, SMU, Florida State, Virginia, UNC, or Duke. They don't
Mm-mm.
win, and throw in Oregon State on that. They don't win two of those games. There's just no way.
I don't think so either. So
This
that's
is
just a little fishy.
that makes me really question this. Yes, I'm with you. Like,
Hammer the over.
yeah, part of me hopes this gets to like over under 5.5, and
Uh-huh.
then we back up our mortgages on the under. Like just because there's just no way they go in six if that goes up. Good Lord, we're missing something. We'll come back to that at the end of the
Vegas is
season and
pulling
talk
reverse
about how
psychology stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, dude. We'll come back to that at the end of the season, talk about how we were all stupid and missed something on that, I guess. Uh Nothing more for Wake Forest from me. What about you guys? We good on Wake
We're
Forest?
good.
I'm good.
Good luck, Jake Decker. Wish you the best. Notre Dame. This is we threw them in the ACC like we talked about, not in the ACC conference, but they play a pretty heavy ACC schedule. And credit to Notre Dame, they booked up a pretty tough schedule this season for a Notre Dame schedule. Very proud of them for that. There is no Northern Illinois, so everybody can hold your breath right there. You don't have to worry about that one. That's not on the schedule. That wasn't going to be your one loss if you won a national championship last season. I could not get past that if anybody followed our show. Obviously, 11-1 in the regular season last year, national championship loss. I feel as if they exceeded expectations, especially after that Northern Illinois loss, like I talked about. Talked about this a little bit earlier. Marcus Freeman has a little Mario Cristobal to him, where you have to get past the hiccup that you shouldn't have, that you always have. Don't have a hiccup, and you are off to the races. Very intrigued by the CJ Carr quarterback situation, replacing Riley Leonard. I do think that CJ Carr is a much better passer. I don't know how it transfers into being an overall quarterback right out of the gates, leading a team in big games, coming off a national championship loss and having high expectations. Bryant touched on Jeremiah Love. I will go on record and say I think he's the best running back in the country. I do think that you have one of the best offensive lines around. Charles Jagasaw is probably going to be a first-round pick when the time comes for him. This defense is very ferocious. If they get a little bit better receiver play this year, CJ Carr can be consistent. They truly could be right back in the conversation again. The over/under sitting at 10.5. The over plus 150. A little surprised by that, actually, it being so juicy. And the under is minus 180. Fellas, take it away.
I know we have a lot of Notre Dame fans listening to our show, and originally I was going to dog on Notre Dame as kind of a joke, but I'm gonna pass on that because I think I wouldn't be able to hold my
Man,
laughter on that. So
that's no fun, right? That's honestly, I was
I'm
looking really
sorry.
forward
I'm
to this.
sorry. But I think my biggest thing here with Notre Dame is, man, what a tough two first games to schedule on your schedule to start the season. You got away at Miami. Yeah, Miami I don't think is going to be as good as last season, but that's a tough game to start. And then you got A&M as your first home game. I think A&M's a very good football team. I think that's going to be tough, a very tough game for them. A&M can play in any environment in the country, in my opinion. But personally, I only have A&M as their only loss. I think Notre Dame wins 11 games.
They
They have
play
one
the
of the best.
spoiler makers week 3. The spoiler
Yeah,
makers week 3.
Barry Odom's their coach. I'm not worried about that. Um, I think they have one of the greatest. I think they have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Their defense is loaded. I think if they can start off for sure 1-1, not go 0-2 in those games, they're going to have a stellar season. I think Notre Dame's a sleeper to make it back to the national championship game. But this is not an easy schedule as we're somewhat accustomed to with Notre Dame. I don't say they schedule easy schedules, but this is one of the hardest in recent memory. But they just have a lot going for them. Like you mentioned, their only really question mark, I think, is CJ Carr. Can he play up to par for them to win football games? And can Marcus Freeman be that motivated quarterback and be that motivating coach that he can be, get these guys playing like they should and not make the dumb mistake like they did last year? Time will tell, but this is a really good football team.
Not just last year, every year since he's been a coach. But
True, but it was blatantly obvious last year.
yeah, I mean, Stanford loss was pretty bad. A Marshall loss is pretty bad. I mean, Nolan, are you on the over on this?
The over, and I have a question for you guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Notre Dame has had 2 transfer quarterbacks come in, or 3?
Two.
2 in the last 2
Riley
years,
Leonard
right?
and what was the
Sam
quarterback at
Hartman.
Wake Forest?
Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
And they went out and got them both, right? The
Yep.
last 2 seasons. I think that's telling of how they feel about CJ Carr. They didn't go get a transfer quarterback. There might not have been too many out there, sure, but that's telling of your confidence in your quarterback. And I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this or not. He's a better passer, right? He's
For
not a
sure.
statue back there like Peyton Manning. Could the offense be better than last year with Jeremiah Love really coming into his own and you actually have a multi-dimensional attack? Because on 3rd and short, 4th and short, everybody in the stadium, outside the stadium, sitting watching TV, you knew Riley Leonard was getting the ball. If it's 3rd down, he's getting it twice. If it's 4th down, he is running straight up the middle. Try and stop him.
If
Mhm.
CJ Carr takes care of the football, this is a better offense than they were last year. And I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think it's close, actually. So but then again, I don't want to put all my eggs in that CJ Carr basket just yet. I know they were in the Deuce Knight campaign very late, the 2025 signee quarterback, and it not really left Notre Dame, but didn't end up signing with Notre Dame like they thought. So I know they were in that campaign pretty late. Could that have hindered some things? I don't know. I'm not a part of Notre Dame's coaching staff, obviously. But yeah, I mean, what you said speaks volume. They didn't go get a quarterback in the portal, and they were a team that probably could have went and got anybody they wanted. Honestly, I mean, they're Notre
On the
Dame.
flip side of Nolan's point, Steve Angeli came in a few times in the
Steve
postseason last
Angeli
year,
was probably going to be the
and
starter. Yeah,
he was going to be the starter, and he's gone. And I think he wouldn't have left if he knew he was going to have a chance to be the quarterback. So maybe they have a lot of confidence in CJ Carr. That's just another way to think about it. But I think Jeremiah Love being there can take some pressure off Carr. I think they're going to run a lot of play action, and I think that's going to open up the offense and give him more space to work. And I think that will definitely be at his benefit.
Well, and one of the first notes I had said too is they just got to get better receiver play. Like their receiver
It was
core is
not good.
not good. I still don't think it's good. I
Mm-hmm.
just think they just have to be consistent. Like you just gotta be some consistency in that receiver room a little bit. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference makers in that receiver room. Unless I'm forgetting a name, I don't think they have that standout tight end like they have a lot. I think they just have a standout defense, a standout offensive line, and the best running back in college football, and a quarterback that they're hoping just doesn't make mistakes. Just don't turn the ball over. We're going to run it 3 straight downs, get a first down. We're going to run it 2 more times and let you throw it on 3rd down. I mean, they're going to run a traditional pro style offense. I feel like this is going to be what you would see on Sunday football games, and their defense is going to lock teams down. But looking at this schedule a little bit, I do have them losing against Texas A&M as well. Coin flip loss for me. I have a coin flip game against Miami, Arkansas, and USC. Now, some people are probably laughing about the Arkansas USC thing. I think Arkansas could be a better team this year. I really, really do, which doesn't take much for Arkansas, obviously. But I think they could be a better team that is an away game for Notre Dame. That's a tougher environment for this Notre Dame football team. I mean, Arkansas is not an easy place to play with their. They'll sell out when Notre Dame comes to town. As long as Arkansas is not 0-3 at that point somehow, it'll be a sold crowd.
Say it's early in the season. Arkansas fans haven't given up yet.
Still have some life.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And I think it also depends on how you look at this USC football team. Could
Yeah, that was
USC take some steps in the right direction? I think they could. I once again don't know if it could get a whole lot worse for them and to their standards and to Lincoln Riley's standards. I think this is a prove it year for him as well. I think it's time to go. And I think USC could give them a ball game. And you look at Purdue, Boise State, NC State, Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. Those should be those layup games for Marcus Freeman where you could kind of play some B minus C plus football and still comfortably win a football game. Just don't drop any of those. I'm at 11-1. I'm at 11-1, and I don't love it. I don't love it because I don't love CJ Carr yet. But
I like their first bye week, though. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Miami bye A&M.
Yes.
That's a great bye week placement. If they were able to ask for that, great job, whoever asked for that.
Yeah, if you set that up, very well done, because if things look ugly, because let's not forget, fellas, and you guys know this, Miami's defense is going to be not going to be, should be damn good. They are very good on paper. This is like a Miami, not really a revenge game, but a revenge game against college football from 2024 right here. If they come out and punch a title contender hopeful and a national championship loser right in the mouth to begin the season. Like this is everything Miami wants.
This is a revenge game from the 90s, man. Catholics versus convicts.
Yeah, this is truly what Miami wants. This is a battle of two coaches that do some dumb shit and lose some dumb shit and cost them some serious situations, but are trying to really prove themselves in like the next tier coaching category and next tier team category. Like this is another one of those games, Nolan, that you're talking about earlier. Week 1, have your TV on this game. Don't miss this football game. I think this could, I don't want to say break, but this could truly make or break either one of these teams. Like this could be one of those moments where the winner of this game comes out and runs hot for the next 11 games.
That's why I said what a tough 2 games to start your season off with if you're Notre Dame. Yeah, it gets easier, but if you somehow go 0-2, it's going to be a big hole to dig out of. I don't think they do that. I think they win one of the 2, but yeah, I think that first game is going to be a big stepping stone for either Notre Dame and/or Miami. So that's going to be another fun one to watch week 1.
Well, looking at this, I'll be honest, and it doesn't change the record outcome I have for them, but I have them coin flip win against Miami, coin flip loss against A&M. I would, now that I'm looking at this again, I would actually flip those. I think they beat A&M. I think they lose to Miami. I would like to flip those. I don't think A&M is that good, so I should have went the other way on this. They lost a ton. Their defense lost so much, and that quarterback position for me is a little skeptical as well. Not to dive in on A&M, but yeah, I would flip this a little bit. And playing at home as well in that A&M game, I should have gave that to them. But wouldn't be surprised to see Notre Dame in the national championship somehow again, though, either.
No, I think they're a surefire team to make the playoff.
Yeah.
You think the back half of their year, though, like you said, they can play like a B game with Marcus Freeman's history. Do you think that's where it trips them up?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you would look at this schedule. I think if you're a Notre Dame fan, and I'm not, but I think if I was, and I looked at this schedule and saw them the first 2 games against Miami and A&M, there would not be a lot of oxygen in the room. But I feel like if I got out of that 1-1, I feel like I would take a deep breath, and that's where Notre Dame probably shouldn't take a deep breath. Like that's where they should probably lock in and be like, okay, we got to keep the ship right. We got to stay on the tracks because this is where things go awry for us. Usually, this is where they got to lock in. So yeah, 100% Nolan. Bryant, your loyal listener, Notre Dame friends, what are they saying out there? Like when you talk to them, what are they kind of whispering in your ear a little bit here?
Oh man, national champions! It's like that every year.
Yeah, and that's why I don't.
We're the best team in college football, man.
That's why I don't buy into that much. Not that I can change it. I mean, it's what it is. I still don't.
I mean, I'm not
lying.
Second
best team in college football.
They're like we're going to go 10-2, 11-1. It's been the same story since 2010.
They should.
This year they're going to, I think.
They should. I mean, they won 11-1 last year. I mean, this. Yeah.
They're going to sleepwalk. They're going to sleepwalk into one of these games and win by like 3 points,
or lose by a last-second field goal.
This is going to happen. Like I could see them beating Navy by 40 or 3.
They beat the dog shit out of Navy last year, and I
I
thought
know,
Navy was
but
going to have a
something.
chance in
I'm
that
not
one
saying
last
like
year.
Navy for sure, but something like that.
No, yeah, I'm with you.
I
Like
agree
maybe
with Colin. I think it's the Arkansas game. That's the game you're looking at on the schedule. After your first two, you got Arkansas. I don't People recognize Boise State's name. Ashton Genty might not be there, but people recognize the name of the school. Are they thinking a little too much in the future? What are we gonna not show for playoff contention? And just go down to Arkansas and throw up a dud.
I think it could be Arkansas and USC. Like
Yeah,
I mean I don't love them in either one of those games. But Arkansas has quarterback questions. USC has quarterback questions. Look at this whole entire schedule, and it is. Let me look at this real quick. Is it all first year starting quarterbacks with like 3 games?
yeah. I mean, Pitt, he's returning. Stanford's a new quarterback.
Navy's
Boston College,
returning.
Boston College is a new quarterback. Navy's returning. Syracuse is new.
Miami's new.
Miami's
A&M's
new.
partially
Nice,
new.
partially new. I don't know Purdue. I haven't dug into them at all.
Couldn't tell you.
Boise State
Oh,
has
is it Hudson Card still?
it might be is Boise State Mattis Maxon. He's still the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as
So I
I
mean,
know.
yeah, there's 3 or 4 teams on their whole schedule that have returning quarterbacks that have played meaningful football.
So
So
it's a
that
it's a
bodes
tough
well.
schedule name brand wise, but maybe not that tough if you really dive into it. So
Yeah.
your Notre Dame fans could be onto something, Bryant. Tell them to hold their breath. Anytime they have high expectations like this, the train comes off the tracks. So I hope it works out for them. I hate seeing any fan be upset, but somebody's got to be upset. I mean, there's a lot of Stanford fans out there too. So anything else on Notre Dame?
That's all I
Or
got.
anything else on the ACC?
I think it's going to be a fun conference this year. Like we mentioned, teams that have a lot of potential, teams that are going to be trash, and a lot of mid. But it's going to be pretty competitive overall, I think.
Okay, let's wrap the ACC up then. We'll revisit this what I'm about to talk about right before the season starts. But give me your ACC winners, boys. Who wins the ACC? Nolan?
Clemson.
Bryant?
Easy.
Clemson easy. If we include Notre Dame in this, I think they're right there. But I mean, they're not going to be. So Clemson.
Um. All right, I'm gonna say Clemson too. I have the Clemson going to like the damn near national championship. I gotta say Clemson, but you both did. I wanted to say Miami a little bit right there, but it's
Hmm.
Mario Cristobal. I'm not saying Miami. Give me Clemson, and I think Clemson can honestly get it done pretty easily. So, moving forward, we will be back next week. We are going to move on to the Big 12, and we'll do a first part, second part for the Big 12 as well. Looking forward to that. Got any team can win the Big 12. Seriously, we look at every team in the Big 12, and every single team can win that conference. Good Lord, that is a wide open conference. So, fellas, this was tons of fun. Anything you guys want to add real quick before I take us out of here?
No, sir.
I'm good.
All right, boys. We'll see you back next week. That's Nolan. That's Bryant. I'm Collin. You can follow us on X at DT_sports_. Instagram, Deep Threat Sports with a Z. Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. YouTube, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports. Hey, fellas, until next time, peace.